Hello, my name is Dennis Downs. I'm an artist and an author. Some of you in the Chicagoland area might have attended my fine arts shows. Others of you might recognize my work at the corner of Grand and McClurg, the bronze of Captain George Wellington Streeter. It's the artwork that has funded my research for over 35 years on the Native American trail marker trees of the Great Lakes region and beyond. The study shows how these trees were shaped when they were young. In other words, this isn't just a random sculpture. This is a living trail marker tree photographed in 1895. The original tree was like that. It's a branch that comes up that they select and allow to grow skyward that tells them it's a tree shaped by the hand of man. The original trunk is removed after the tree takes shape. The tree will last for 300 to 400 years as long as there's no disease or lightning. The trees were actually used much like the pictographs and petroglyphs were used in the Southwest. Those Native Americans etched things into stone, painted things into stone to help them on their travels. The standing or stacked stone system of the subarctic, the Inuit. Some refer to them as the Inukshuk system. Those also were navigational aids used by that region in our territory of the Great Lakes and the East and some part of the South and Midwest. It was the trail marker trees. This was the resource they were ingenious enough to use. Obviously based on a tree that probably was misshapen by nature, and the Native Americans were smart enough to say, hey, all we have to do is bend one over, shape it, trim it a little bit, it'll last forever, it'll tell us where to exit this trail to get to what we need. And by that I mean possibly get to a safer river crossing, where there's a rock shelf at the bottom of the river, so you can cross it more safely. Or copper deposits that were exposed to the earth, chert deposits, flint deposits, things animal trails would not take you to. So in our area of northeastern Illinois, especially Lake and Cook County, it's not he said, she said. These Native American trail marker trees were recorded by historians with Native Americans attending the events. Signs and plaques were placed at these trees over a century ago. Some a little bit earlier, only 100 years ago, explaining what the trees were, why they were being honored. So we're really lucky, and I was lucky as a child to actually see these trees. It was explained to me by older men, it was explained to me by my own Cherokee aunt, and then it was explained to me in the Boy Scouts, and I'm not alone. Hundreds of people were educated about these trees in the 50s and 60s in our region. And the publication of my book, after 28 years, I published a 300-page book, hardcover book, showing these examples throughout the Great Lakes region and beyond. I went to 42 states, I went to 5 provinces, I went through 3 Ford pickup trucks. So this isn't just random. We're really lucky to have all the history from both the Europeans that got along with the Native Americans and the Native Americans themselves, talking about the trail marker trees. So that was my goal, to save this part of history. When Tony approached me for the Chicago Flower and Garden Show, I couldn't have been happier. What we had planned was not only a really beautiful exhibit with the bronze tree raised up on a pedestal, surrounded by 650 ferns and plants designed by Bernie Jacobs and his wife Kat. It was looking beautiful. As well as a physical exhibit that was going to accompany the bronze trail marker tree. And by that I mean actual educational photos and posters that were going to be placed throughout the exhibit. Again, helping to educate people that would come to the show. We were also asked to do two 45-minute talks where I could have presented the PowerPoints showing these things, these plaques, these locations, these trees, the Native Americans I've worked with in the field for decades. So we were really looking forward to this, and I really look forward to next year doing this presentation. Having the bronze physically in the middle, having Native Americans come from all different areas of the Great Lakes that have worked with me. We were really looking forward to it, and I really look forward to next year's show, and I'd like to think we'll even have a better presentation. We actually took it to the level, Tony didn't know this, but I had my research team that I work with. We made up a special brochure for the show, actually showing Andrew Johnson and Hilda Little Fawn Williams. Andrew is the executive director of the Native American Chamber of Commerce for Illinois, who I've worked with in the field for nearly a decade at different events. And Hilda Little Fawn Williams, who I've had the pleasure of knowing now also for a decade since my book came out. She's the great-great-great-granddaughter of Chief Pontiac and the daughter of Chief Thundercloud from Chicago fame. He actually helped found the American Indian Center. So it was guests like that, PowerPoints that we had presented, physical exhibit, plus the bronze. So next year, we're really looking forward to doing this again. And couldn't have been happier that Tony wanted to include us.